he's their marquee player. He's bringing most of the new money into the platform, whereas the music artists that have their music there have been there for years are also generating income. But there's a hook there. I'm gonna touch on that in a second. So Rogan responded with a 10-minute video that he posted to Instagram. That should give you an indication about the media implications of what happened. Because Joe Rogan, he's not a wallflower. He's not going to bend to the will of just any criticism. But this one actually probably cracked the surface a little bit. I'm going to tell you why. In his 10-minute video, he said he would do his best to make sure he's researched these topics. I've researched these, quote, make sure I've researched these topics and try harder to get people with differing opinions on the show, which reached an estimated 11 million listeners per episode. Give it up for that. Yeah. 11 million listeners. Let me get just a fraction of that. Let me borrow about 1 million of those listeners, those ears. He said he's not trying to promote misinformation. He's not trying to be I'm not trying to be controversial. He said, I've never tried to do anything with this podcast other than just talk to people and have interesting conversations. Okay. Here's where the rubber meets the road. This is where things got crazy for Joe Rogan, our guy Joe Rogan, and Spotify. Spotify reported on Friday that their shares dropped 12% after Neil Young demanded his songs be removed from the platform over the misinformation. By Friday, Spotify lost $4 billion in market value. $4 billion? $4 billion. So Spotify thought they were making the right decision by supporting somebody that they spent $100 million on, anywhere up to $300 million, and ended up losing. Cloud Nation Media, what's happening? Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. They ended up losing $4 billion in their valuation. That hurts. That hurts a lot. So when these are numbers that make the world move, you know when people say, if you got money, you don't have to worry about criticism. It depends on how much money, because Joe Rogan being worth $100 million from Spotify, so obviously he's worth more because he's bringing them more value than just the money that they put out. They put out for his acquisition. But when your company loses $4 billion, and what's bound to happen with companies? Companies go up, companies go down. It might be temporary. It might bounce back tomorrow. But the fact of the matter is, this decision that they thought Neil Young, 1970s, 80s, 60s even, I believe, artist and his catalog versus Joe Rogan, hot as fish grease, relevant in 2022. They're going to go with the relevant thing because, they don't understand how backlash works, because Neil Young actually had Twitter on supporting him. He had the internet behind him in some ways. And so what they didn't see was that it was going to cost them more money to support their blue chip player, Joe Rogan. So yeah, man, it's a really delicate line you have to walk in media. As Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan has, his comments came after the streaming service announced that it would add this is what happened. So after the $4 billion hit, now we're singing a different tune. Now Spotify is scrambling, so much so that Joe Rogan comes out with, like I said, a 10-minute video posted to Instagram, and obviously somebody from Spotify got in his ear, because you can't just impact our stock price by that much in a single day just based on what we would call free speech. The First Amendment, right? The First Amendment. So Spotify, let's talk about the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So yeah, we're talking about the freedom of speech part of that. So Joe Rogan, in all his bluster, he's getting a word from Spotify, and Spotify's like, yo, you need to address this right now. You need to come and so after he comes out with this statement, because like I said, somebody got in his ear. Somebody told him what was up. So he said, and then not only that, Spotify said, now we're going to add a content advisory to any podcast episode that discusses the C-19. The move came after several musicians, not just Neil Young, led by Neil Young, said they were pulling their music from the platform. So this is the 21st century question now. Of course, podcasts are a burgeoning industry and they're coming up. But if all the artists are in protest removing their music from your platform, how much of a hit do you take? And supporting your number one podcast host, because podcasts have been taking off. Let's just say I got a Faucette Media podcast too. If you want to check that out, check us out on Apple and Spotify and some other sites. But can podcasts really demand that much traffic? And at some point, will they ever surpass the music portion of this game? Is Spotify in the podcast game exclusively, or is music still driving their business? And I think by the answer that we got by this response, we now know Spotify is definitely in the music business still. So yeah, it's a rough thing. Hold on one second. Hold on. Wrong video. Did that play up there? Oh no, it didn't even play. So anyway, give me 1 second. Let me pull this video up. Because I want to hear what Joe Rogan had to say. What did Spotify force their golden goose, if you will, their A1 player? What did they make him say in response to such a serious accusation? Or did he just do this on his own? And I think if it had been another artist, maybe he doesn't bend as easily. But from Friday to Sunday, like I believe this came out 15 hours ago on Sunday. There was a big message pushed to Joe.